What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of REV Bookclub Shelf. I'm just gonna keep calling it different things each episode. I don't care. But yeah, just welcome all. Thank you all for joining us. I am Josh, alongside the lovely Soul, and
Hello.
this month's book is the book called Kindred by Octavia Butler. I almost said Octavia Spencer. Shout out to her as well. She's an amazing Academy Award-winning actress. But no, Octavia Butler with Kindred, and it has it's about a heartfelt story about slave. No, I'm kidding. It's not heartfelt. It's heartfelt in some ways, but anyway, it's about slavery, guys. It's not going to be a happy, joy, lucky, go for it book. Okay, that doesn't mean it's not a good book, because I thought it was very well written, but it's not. It's a very touchy subject for those who don't want to. It's not for everyone. I can understand why someone would try to get through this book and be like, no, can't do it. And it's not because it's not a well-written book. It's just because the things that they go over are, even though this is a fictional book, it still deals with stuff that happened in the past. It's a very faux history-based book.
I think this is still like an important book to read, and we can address in the room. I'm here with the whitest guy ever, Josh, and I myself, I might be a minority, but I'm not Black. So we are going to go over a few things about generational trauma and the Black experience, both in the 70s and in the antebellum South under slavery. We are going to speak about these topics, but we do understand that neither of us are Black. So I guess... No. We're going to try to be as... I
have rhythm, so you know that. I do have rhythm, okay? She is witness. I do have rhythm, okay?
But, Josh, any of your non-spoiler thoughts before we get to spoilers?
I enjoyed how this book was written, because you can really just get into, oh my, yeah, it's like me just like watching Roots, like, oh my god, yeah, we get it, it sucked, oh stop it, damn it. And it gets real into like heart, and just trying, it doesn't, you're not going to break my empathy. And that's just kind of what I got from Dana. Like, she was empathetic to the end, in a sense, with Rufus. She was trying her damnedest throughout this whole thing. She wasn't giving up. I won't spoil it, but that's what I got from it. And like, her relationship with Kevin was real. I like that they had that dichotomy to go along with what was going on in the slavery times, because guys, during the synopsis, she is the main character. Dana is from 1976, and she gets taken back through time to linked up with one of her ancestors, and that's how. And then she just gets brought back and forth based off of events that happened. That is a synopsis, not a spoiler. Okay, so I don't. Obviously, it was graphic at times. I was kind of wanting to make it to be like, this is the weirdest sequel to Django Unchained I've ever seen. But it wasn't at all. It had a lot more heart than Django Unchained. But I really did enjoy it, and it was a very, obviously I listened to it. So shout out to Kim Stoughton. She did a wonderful job on it, and I thought it flowed very well. There wasn't a part where I'm just like, get to the next thing, come on, let's go. I thought it flowed very well. And as a quick read, I guess it would say to some people, because it didn't lull on things. The message got across what she was trying to do each and every time. So I did enjoy it of that point.
Yeah, I also enjoyed this book as much as you can enjoy a book about slavery and watching atrocities of human beings. This was written in 1979, and the present day is 1976. So when we do go through in the spoiler, when I say present day or anything, it is 76. It is not present day 2026. And then, so that kind of too was weird. It was like, anytime they were like, oh, we're going back to the present or anything, I'm like, that's still the 1970s, which feels so far away from right now, even though it really isn't that long ago. I do like how the story really highlights like racism as a poison, kind of, because you look at Rufus and you're seeing him from when he's a little boy to an adult man, and as a little boy he is just so sweet and kind, and he doesn't care black white, like those are his friends, those are the people that he likes, these, and it's more based off of like personality for him, of him making attachments to people and living in the environment of the antebellum South, and like just the institutional racism of that, and then just being a child of slave owners, and so all of that, that is what poisons him, and then he goes from being a kind boy to being an awful human being at the end. So I liked seeing how environment really does play such a huge factor on people, and you can even take that to today time, and like people's environments, how they grow up, the people that they're around, the people that they surround themselves with really can influence how they treat other people, where you can go from being a well-meaning individual to then being a Rufus type character.
Hey, basically, is you're like the saying is you're not born evil, you're learned it, or whatever it is. Exactly the saying of like, you don't, these things, it's the environment in which you're raised in that makes you this way, not you as a person at the beginning, which we saw. And this kind of shows you that trajectory of if you're influenced by the wrong people, this is what can happen.
Yeah. And still need to think further on it, but I do find it interesting to take on the having affection for someone who's cruel, because throughout the entire book, Dana still has a lot of affection for Rufus.
Yeah.
And then also those who are cruel still being able to show affection, because Rufus, even being a cruel individual at the end, is still able to show affection, and you know that there's like genuine love there, even if the love is very warped.
This affection is weird at the end, man.
Yeah, so no one is completely one thing.
Nope.
There's
definitely there's not a black and white in this book in a sense. Obviously,
like
there's black and white as far as races, but
I think that it's like the yin and yang symbol.
Yeah,
that like
that's a good one.
The dark, you still have, there's still a little bit of light in the dark, and there's still a little bit of dark in the light, and so that is something that I still need to sit with and think more on it. But that is something that I took away from the book. Yeah. In a non-spoiler sense.
Yeah, and that's you made a good point. This book is something that you're gonna have to digest. It's not something like, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, I totally understand it. I was like, at the end of it, like a couple of times, I'm like, okay, did he make this decision because of this, or is it it's just, and so I'm just stewing on it. I'm like, did I interpret that correctly? And if I'm sitting there, if I interpret that correctly, it means one, you wrote the book good enough to me to really sit and think about it, which means it's a good book. It's not a very paint by numbers type thing. And I think that's a credit to the author, because anytime you can make me think about it and get more philosophical about it, that means you did something good, at least from me as a reader / listener on that. And so that's another thing too, is obviously we don't get to spoilers about it, but that was a couple of things as far as how the ending was and how he was at the end in that last scene. Part of me was like, but also, did he do it because of this? But I don't want to get to that real quick because we're still not spoilers.
Ready to get spoilers?
Yeah, let's do spoilers. And just so you know, guys, spoiler alert. But also, we're going to get into some graphic stuff, because guess what? Slavery's fucked up.
Yep. So also trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning, basically.
We might say, instead of like the words, like reference them or use the YouTube appropriate words for some of the stuff here. But yeah, still trigger warning. But first, let's talk about the characters.
Yeah.
And we just spoke about Rufus. How you feeling about our boy Rufus?
He's a tragic character through and through. Because and that's the reason why Dana just could not, other than the fact of the ancestor thing. I think that was part of her seeing of like, Back to the Future. If he dies, then I don't exist. And then then towards the end of the book, she's just like, I'm just done with this. I'm tired of this. It's like, if she was, the whole point of her having to go back in time was torture enough itself, much less for the physical torture that she went through. And so she was wanting to be done with it, to the point of her slitting her own wrist just to go back to her own time. So again, we said trigger warning, guys. Okay, this stuff happened in the book when she did. And at the end of the day, Rufus is just a tragic story of, she sees him as that little kid that she helped rescue from
that kind boy.
That kind little boy, and then the one that he accidentally set on fire. And that was such a nice kind of heartwarming scene of after she went back for the second time because he set the place on fire. And she was like explaining to him, she was like, no, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can't say that. He's like, why? Because it's part of his environment.
Yeah.
He thinks it's what it's supposed to happen.
Don't say the N word.
But he was listening to her, and he was responding and like learning, like, oh, okay, that's not right. And then she would leave and then come back later on in time, and he'd get worse because she wasn't there to kind of say, no, again, I told you before. But then she's also, by staying, she doesn't want to be there either, because in her situation, her life becomes complete shit because it's slavery. She's black. So, there you go. So yeah, to me, Rufus's character himself is tragic because we see what he was as a little boy to the monster that became at the end.
Yeah, Rufus's character is probably a lot of children from that era of there, because I, like you, I don't think racism is something you're born with. I think it's a learned trait. And so him as a kid, he's playing with the black kids on the plantation. He's like, he considers them his best friends. He gets really upset when his dad sells them away to other plantations. He's very kind and thoughtful, but he has a father who is cruel. He has a mother who's kind of psychotic. And he doesn't know this, but he has someone who's down his lineage, because he's the ancestor of this person that comes back, that is a black woman who he really admires and respects as a young boy, because I believe she's like 26. I think it's her 26th birthday is when this happens. When she goes back in time.
I can't recall, but I'll take your word for it. It sounds about right.
So it goes from him being like, I think he's like 3 or 4 the first time she comes back. And then it's like 5 or 6. And then it's like he's 10. And then he's like 18, 19 years old, kind of like, and each time coming back, he's older. And each time she comes back, he's a little bit more like his father. He's a little bit more like his environment. He's a little bit more of that, I'm white, and so therefore I'm superior, kind of. And Dana, who has like this love for him, kind of like, even though every time she comes back, she gets more and more pissed off with him because
she even has like a slight nickname for him towards the end of the book. She kept calling him Rue instead of Rufus.
Yeah, and it is one of those that, like, Octavia Butler does such a good job because you love this little boy at the beginning. You think he's so cute, and he becomes a monster. And she still cares for him. And so I love how, like, complicated that relationship is. And it shows, I think, even shows to, I said before, to like modern times, people in situations, they can go from being a sweet kid to a terrible adult, depending on their situations and how they grow up and the people they're around.
Yeah.
And
Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader.
Yeah. But it is tragic. He's a tragic character. Do you have any deep thoughts on any of the other characters before we go into themes?
My heart broke for Alice the whole book.
Yeah.
Nigel was trying to keep it together. Was it Alice or who was it that basically was like thought didn't want to leave, and like I'm pretty sure these are a lot of, I don't know. I mean, obviously I've watched enough history and stuff, but them saying like I don't want to leave because what am I supposed to do? It's just like in Shawshank Redemption when the old guy leaves and he goes into actual society and he doesn't know what to do because he's so just being a prisoner. That's his life, and then he ends up committing off himself because he just couldn't live in the real world. And there was a conversation. I don't know if it was her and Dana and Alice. I don't know which character it was, but they basically was having a conversation where Dana was like, she doesn't even realize that she's a slave. She thinks she's free, but she just rather stay there and work. And because she's too afraid to leave.
Yeah, I think it's with Alice when she still hasn't had her full memory back after.
Okay.
Because Alice, out of all of the Black characters in the past, is a free woman. She was born a free woman because her mother was a free woman, but she's still a Black woman in the antebellum South. Mm-hmm. And she marries a slave. And when Rufus, spoiler, trigger warning, R words her, the husband beats the shit out of Rufus. Mm-hmm. But that's Dana comes back because the way it happens is anytime Rufus is in trouble, that's when Dana is pulled back into the past. And so Dana shows up and he sees what's going on. It's like, Rufus kind of deserves this, but I also like care for this kid and I need to protect him. And also like, if he dies, if I let him die here, then I might disappear because he's my ancestor. Yeah. And so she goes off with her husband, and because that's a crime, she's helping a slave run away. She then gets caught and becomes a slave herself. And in that, because she's so brutalized by the slave catchers that she doesn't get her memory back for a little bit, like because Dana basically brings her back to life, and by taking care of her. And so there is Dana's like she doesn't even know she's a slave, and that's why she's like going around all happy and everything. But when Alice gets her memory back, that is so tragic, and everything going forward with Alice is so tragic, so sad, so
Isaac, I believe, was her husband's name.
Yeah,
he was Isaac. And hey guys, just so you know, when they got caught, they cut his ears off. How about that? That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we'll get into where she said that Octavia Butler, we'll get into it and when we go through themes, where she said, I made sure not to make it as violent as actual like slave stories because then no one would read it, and it still is
pretty graphic.
Violent, still pretty graphic. I found Sarah to be such an interesting character as well, the cook, and basically.
Is she the one that suddenly goes bitch like every once in a while? And like at first Dana was like, is she calling me a bitch or was she talking about the mother? Like I'm confused. But then that was like kind of her thing, where she would just say some like offhand thing, go bitch.
Yeah, and Sarah is that tragic of like the tragedy. One of the tragedies of slavery is the splitting up of families, and that her first three kids were sold off, and her last child is mute, and that one's kept in kind of like the cruelty of finding ways to control people and for those people to accept slavery in a way. And so Sarah is also a tragic character as well.
So you're saying slavery's tragic. Okay, got it.
Very tragic.
Let me write that down. Slave. No kidding.
Yeah. But going into themes, and honestly, slavery tragic goes, you would think everyone would know that, but the way we are in the United States now, some people don't think that. So
slavery still exists in the world.
Yeah, still technically exists in the United States too.
Well, anyway, don't do it, guys. It sucks. You do it. What?
Anywho,
Who the fuck? What? Why? Anyway, moving on.
all right. So themes, and one of the themes, realistic depictions of slavery and slave communities, and kind of just she from Octavia Butler and like scholars talking on the antebellum South. Because during an interview, Butler said that while she read slave narratives for background, she believed that she wanted people to read her book, she would have to present a less violent version of slavery than found in those accounts. Sarah Y. And when I saw this, I was like, Govan, like one letter away from my last name with an A instead of an I, states, there probably is no more vivid depiction of life on an Eastern Shore plantation than that found in Kindred, which tracing how Butler's book follows the classic pattern of the slave narrative genre, loss of innocence, harsh punishment, strategies of resistance, life in the slave quarters, struggle for education, experience of sexual abuse, realization of white religious hypocrisy, and attempts to escape. And so before we get a little bit more into this, but how do you feel about the depiction of the antebellum South in this book?
It was just crazy because I was like the whole time it's antebellum South, but it's Maryland. So it's just like it just threw me off there for a second. But then the whole time of like, oh, you think because every time you hear them say, oh, they're about to be sold to Mississippi or down south, and people are like, no, I don't want to do that. It's just like, so you thought this
Louisiana,
was bad.
yeah.
You thought this was bad. Yeah. So that's the way I depicted of like, this is the lighter tone of slavery. And I'm like, stop.
Yeah. But here's a quote from the book. The ease seems so frightening. Now I see why. The ease, us, the children. I never realized how easily people could be trained to accept slavery. Mm-hmm. So Dinah's thoughts about Sarah, which I talked about before, it goes, she had done the safe thing, had accepted a life of slavery because she was afraid. She was the kind of woman who might have been called mammy in some other households. She was the kind of woman who would be held in contempt during the militant 1960s. The house N-word, the handkerchief head, the female Uncle Tom, the frightened, powerless woman who had already lost all she could stand to lose, and who knew as little about freedom of the North as she knew about the hereafter. And just kind of like her looking, and she calls herself an observer, that like her and Kevin are both observers, although like obviously it's a lot different for Kevin than her because Kevin is white, but kind of just like observing the people around them. And I think now in today's time, you think like, how did these people accept what was happening to them? And then you have this narrative of showing this is how people accepted it. You very rarely do you have cases like Haiti of like the slave revolts, and then that was actually accomplished and winning, although France did make Haiti pay them for their freedom, which France should give that money back. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But kind of just like that of the
Welcome to Ruckus. Soul hates the French. When she was getting on the judges, now she's getting okay. Never mind.
And my last name is French. I have French descendants. But, that's my white ancestry, okay? They did a lot of fucked up shit to my native and black ancestry. But in other words, just thoughts there on kind of just people accepting their station in life as horrible as it is.
I remember watching in school one time of just the typical like really bad show depicting slavery. And it was basically the dad and the son next to him. And I just could not grasp how the son just like, yeah, this is fun. I'm like, that's evil. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And so I still to this day just can't grasp how you can be like, yeah, that's fine. Unless, I don't, because you never get the depiction of Waylon talking to Rufus. And like, this is why it has to be. And this is how it, like, other than him just watching his father do stuff. But his father was very cold to Rufus the whole book. So you never got why, like, and every time Dana would go back, Rufus get worse. But you never understood what made Rufus get to that point. Because you never had that conversation with Wayne. Like, you never had that Waylon Rufus conversation where, you know, the Emperor had that conversation with Anakin to groom and warp his mind to get to that point. You never had that in this book.
His environment, though.
I'm aware it's an environment, but it's still just, you just get, okay, and now Rufus has gotten worse. And he has kind of these small little debates with Dana throughout the whole time where Dana's trying to say, like, dude, what you're doing is not right. And he's like, what do you mean it's not right? I mean, it's part of life. I don't know why I keep going into the narrator's getting in my brain now. But
your Southern is coming out.
Yeah, my Southern is coming out. But he's, you know, that's what he was saying. What do you mean? It's part of life. Like, that's how, shout out to the narrator. That's like I think I nailed it on how she was depicting Rufus. But yeah, that's the one thing that I was missing is I need that little bit of detail of the father having that conversation of the grooming of, like you were saying, like, because my brain still just can't comprehend how someone could be that way. And then I understand it's fear, and you see what happens if you do even the subtlest things.
Yeah.
What would happen to you? And so I understand that side of it perfectly. That's depicted perfectly. I just don't understand how someone could get to that point of doing that to a group of people. I don't, and I still can't wrap my head around it.
I guess to me, I didn't need that. It made sense to me that if you grow up in a society and like it's systemically, you are always considered better than the people around you because you are a white man, then you are eventually probably going to accept that. And it takes a very strong person and a strong personality to go against the grain.
Yeah.
And be like, no, I'm no better than anyone else. I'm a person and they're a person. But if you live in a world that says you're the best, you're the superior race, you are the superior gender, you're this, you're that, I personally don't need a conversation with the father and him to show him how to be a racist asshole. Like, no, I get it. I understand it. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I see that. I never can I can't grasp it just because when I see that, I'm just like,
you're a good person.
Yeah, thanks. So I just, like every time I see something like that or like see this in the book, I'm just like, I just can't get there. Like their mind to get there. So that's why it's just, I need it laid out for me word for word on how you're going to be that way because I can't get there ever myself. So, darn.
Well, that just shows who you are.
Yeah. Oh, darn me for not understanding how someone can be a terrible, terrible person who treats people less than a human.
Yeah. And as we talked about Alice and just how Rufus treats Alice and the quote that like friggin' just stab me in the heart. Why don't you? When Rufus gives Dana an ultimatum, basically like, go to Alice and tell her to come to me. And basically like, and Dana lays out the 3 options for Alice. Basically it's like, you go and you sleep with him, or you deny him and you get whipped and then he takes what he wants from you anyways, or you try to run away again. Those aren't any options really. So the quote, she went to him, she adjusted, became a quieter, more subdued person. She didn't kill, but she seemed to die a little. And that killed me reading that. Because she was even like, she was talking like, if he tries to do this, I'll kill him, that kind of thing. And she doesn't. And she basically, in the juxtaposition too of like how happy Rufus is that Alice is back and he has her, and because he's so in love with her kind of thing. And you see Rufus becoming happier and happier, and you see Alice dying a little bit inside every day.
He never actually gets called on his actions. So that I understand how you can become crueler and crueler, because if you never get checked on it, you're going to keep doing it and get worse on it. I mean, that's just raising a child,
And Dana called it out too. It was just like
Yeah.
he's not gonna get any repercussions for his actions.
No, it's always something like when she came back, found when Isaac beat the shit out of him.
Mhm.
And so she went and got Waylon. And the whole time, Waylon's like, why didn't you protect him? Why didn't you do that? It was never Rufus's fault. Rufus didn't do anything wrong. It was always, you didn't protect him and you didn't do this. And it was always your fault. But he didn't get himself into trouble. Like when he almost drowned himself or set the house on fire. And like every time he effed up, it was always someone else's fault, which is still into society of like, it's never your fault. It's always someone else's fault. And if you never take claim into it and understand that you effed up and got better later on, this is the type of way we can get there. So as far as the environment, that I can understand.
Yeah. It's pretty fucked up. Another theme that I noticed in this was generational trauma. So that's when we go like slavery in this country has lasting trauma that still affects people today. When Rufus found Dana's book and said, what do people have to complain about when he discovers that slavery was abolished by Dana's time? Unfortunately, a lot of people still think that, like, what's there to complain about? Slavery was so long ago. But there's still lasting effects on today's society that come from that, and people not realizing that is some of the problems that still exist today, and people not acknowledging that, or people not wanting because of all different sorts of reasons. It's something that's discussed kind of like you see in the book of like she literally has trauma from going back in her past and seeing it, but then the way that people today, if you go to the end of the book of them going to Maryland and trying to figure out what the history, like when people find out their history, when people actually learn stuff about their past, that does bring up trauma, even though they themselves didn't experience, but it's because it's part of their family line that still exists. And I think even going crazier enough here, like scientists have like traumatic things does change your DNA, and then that can be passed on to your children and grandchildren and your lineage. And so even something that they themselves didn't experience can still affect them because of something that you experienced. So thoughts from authors and scholars. In an interview in 1985, Butler suggests that this trauma comes partly from attempts to forget America's dark past. Quote, I think most people don't know or don't realize that at least 10 million Blacks were killed just on the way to this country, just during the Middle Passage. They don't really want to hear it, partly because it makes whites feel guilty. And then goes, in a later interview with Randall Keenan, Butler explained how debilitating this trauma has been, as she symbolizes by having her protagonist lose her left arm. Quote, I couldn't really let Dana come all the way back. I couldn't let her return to what she was. I couldn't let her come back whole. And losing her arm, I think, really symbolizes her not coming back whole. Antebellum slavery didn't leave people quite whole. And many academics have extended Dana's loss as a metaphor for the lasting damage of slavery on African-American psyche, and Pamela Bedore interprets it as the loss of Dana's naivety regarding the supposed progress of racial relations in the present. And Ashraf Rushdie says Dana's missing arm is the price she must pay for her attempt to change history. So thoughts on generational trauma, the symbolism of Dana losing her arm, kind of all of that. Your thoughts?
She left part of herself back in the 1800s. That's basically that's what I took from her losing her arm, much less the fact of she was just, whatever in the 1970s, which is right after the Jim Crow stuff. It was, so the fact that she wrote this right after I don't know how many years after the Jim Crow was, but it was pretty recent at that point, because the 60s was all the 60s, and then it was late 70s when she wrote this book and published it. So she was probably working on it at that point. Just help me out there, Soul, researching on that when the Jim Crow stuff ended. I think it was like It was definitely the late 60s, early 70s, I believe, but I can be way off on my dates.
It was from the 1880s to the 1960s.
Yeah. So yeah, this was like pretty prevalent when she wrote the book. And obviously it's still prevalent to this day because we're still talking about it and it still hits home. So
overturned in 1965 by the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Yeah, 1965. So yeah, so this was 10 years after Jim Crow that she published this. Right around 10 years that when she published. It was published in 75, right?
Published in 79.
79. Okay, so a little bit after that, but still.
But the protagonist present day is 76.
Right, because like even when they went to Maryland, she kind of even depicted of them getting a little side eye because her and Kevin are a mixed race couple, which is still in this society is still frowned upon. Even in all races, they just I don't know, I don't get it, I don't care, but they still depict on every race does not. There's someone in each that doesn't like it. So whatever. But I did get of like her to the point of she wanted her to not be whole. She killed her ancestor at the end of the book. Like she finally Rufus finally broke her, and she was trying so hard till the end that she didn't want to do it, which is still nuts from all the atrocities that Rufus did up until that point. But she still held out hope till she finally couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. I think this is a very important book to read. I think people, especially if you do think that there's not effects on slavery, effects to the United States and to our country just today, in today's world, like I'm like, go read this book, see kind of just how that trauma is brought to present day, even though the present day is 1976. But I think it can even be done present. If you were talking about how there's a TV miniseries on this,
and it doesn't go into deep of it, but
doesn't fully follow the book as much, but it's present day going back to antebellum South instead of the 70s going back.
And it doesn't depict the whole book. It just young Rufus, young Alice. It's more Waylon, Kevin. I didn't watch it. I just now realized it after, as I was reading the book, I was like, literally like, oh, what would Rufus look like today? Because AI's around. So I was like, hey, do this. And then I saw like, oh, I know that actor. Wait a minute. And then it said Hulu. Like it showed young Rufus and had a Hulu symbol. I'm like, wait, is there a show that I didn't know about?
Yeah.
And I looked it up and I was like, that's modern day. But it did show her like grabbing, like when she's putting her bag together to like take back with her when she starts to get dizzy. Like it depicts her like in the previews of her doing that. But it didn't go all the way through the book, and I don't know, but it's modern day. But that's beside the point. Let's talk about the actual book.
But just in that sense, like you could depict this as modern day of like that trauma coming back, like because the trauma still does exist in our modern day. The next one, this one, I can admit can be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm not going to take credit for this theory. Someone else had this theory and I was like, that is interesting. And it's Alice's, again, trigger warning, suicide as a way to fight the power imbalance with Rufus. And Alice was born a free woman and was friends with Rufus growing up. Rufus fell in love with Alice, but that didn't stop him from harming her and enacting his power over her, especially after she became his slave. So her death was the only thing she really had any power over him with, because that's the only way that she could actually harm him after all the harm that he's done to her. So your thoughts, do you
I've heard that type of theory before. I've heard that theory before. It's, if the worst thing I can do is not be here at all. And so then she had, like, it's kind of like when Dana gave Alice basically that ultimatum, like, here's your three options.
Yeah.
Right. And she basically took, basically, I got real country when I said that. But she kind of had relived that. So I can understand that. It's super, super dark and morbid for that. Just like
Especially because like she's like, I have nothing left to live for. You told me you sold my children,
right?
Even though he was lying,
right. And also, one of the biggest things early on in the book that pissed me off so much is that he never sent the letters to Kevin.
Yeah,
Because he was so gosh damn selfish and wanted to keep Dana there and thought if Kevin came back, then she'd leave. Which, hey, guess what? Kevin came back and she left. But still, though, the fact that this selfish little prick that's the first time I was like, you selfish little prick.
Well, and you saw too when his father heard about the letters, his father like that's dumb, kind of like was like, you idiot, why are you sending the letters? Goes, she's part of our household, you're gonna one less slave, kind of like. But he actually was more like his father in that sense. He didn't send them. So I don't know, would his father have been proud about that?
Before you in going into it, I do have a question for you. Speaking about his father, and he kept saying that his father was like not sympathetic, but like not fair or something. And like, remember that?
Yeah,
argument?
fair. He said that. Yeah, in one of the when she came back and she's treating him after Isaac beat the shit out of him.
Yeah,
like, my father's fair.
And we're like, what? What do you mean fair?
Yeah. And I guess from his perspective, growing was like what he did was cruel, but he's not being cruel every day. And so, or like, because of the whole like the whipping scene where he whips that one person, but he calls all the slaves to come see this one slave get whipped, kind of like to enact fear on everyone. So I guess to him, he's just like, oh, he's just like, this person wronged, didn't follow the rules, so dad's just retaliating in a fair way, but it's not fair,
right?
And it is very cruel. But to white slave owners, him retaliating against disrespect from the slaves is fair.
And Waylon was written weird because like Dana would because it wasn't like, he typically was depicted of you don't ever talk back, and part of it was you never talk back and he would whip them, right? You would have those depictions with that with Waylon. Waylon was your typical grade A, slave owner. Like that's kind of how it was. But his interactions with Dana, where it was like, I think he viewed Dana more as a tool, but like him allowing her to,
I think Dana interested him, and I think, and part of it too is throughout the book you see that he has had multiple illegitimate children with his slaves, and so that's another thing that like in real life that slave owners did sleep with, which is not, you can't even really call sleep, you R-worded, they're slaves and fathered bastard children on their slaves. And it is kind of like when you think of like, oh, you hate black people so much but you still want to sleep with them, so you're attracted to them in some sense, kind of thing. And I think there was an attraction, an interest in, and like he was scared of her like, because like, oh, smart, that like viewed her as smart and was scared of her being smart, but also enjoyed her being smart, kind of like. So it's that weird of like that being attracted to something that you hate, kind of thing, is the way I read it.
Yeah, and then plus like some of the other slaves were like in the beginning of the book, where some of the slaves were kind of jealous of Dana because she was getting a lot of the attention, kind of the other.
She, unlike a lot of the other slaves, she could choose and do whatever she wanted.
Right.
Kind of in that one, because she wasn't his slave, she was Kevin's slave. So she had a little bit more free will to go about the house and the plantation as she wished.
Yeah.
And she was viewed as like, because it was her husband and she's not actually like, she was willingly doing stuff for her husband, even though it was pretending to be a slave, which is like that was hard in and of itself. Kind of people are like, oh, she's a white lover. She would be a house N-word. She would be like, and the people on the field didn't like the people in the house, kind of thing, because they were treated better than the people on the field, kind of that dynamic. So there's a hierarchy.
There's still a class system in slavery, which is
there
still fucked
was.
up in itself.
It's so fucked up in itself, but there was a class system.
No, yeah, I'm aware of that, but it's just always, that's why I'm with you on like everyone should read this book.
Yeah. So,
or listen to it, because shout out to Kim Staunton. Yeah.
And going into interracial marriage. So both Dana and Kevin have people both in present day in 1976 and in the antebellum South. They have issues with their relationship. It makes a little bit more sense antebellum South, although it does unfortunately make sense in the 70s as well. And people have issues with it even now in 2026.
As I alluded to early in the episode.
Yeah. So Kevin also learns about his privilege through his prolonged stay in the past. In present day, he's unconscious of the benefits he derives from his skin color, as well as the ways his actions serve to disenfranchise Dana. Once he goes to the past, however, he must not just resist accepting slavery as a normal state of affairs, but disassociate himself from the unrestricted power white males enjoy as their privilege. His prolonged stay in the past transforms him from a naive white man oblivious about racial issues into an anti-slave activist fighting racial oppression. Even though Kevin, and you kind of see that too, throughout the book goes like, even though Kevin, he's like, oh, I'm bored. But he tells Dana, he goes, quote, this could be a great time to live in. I keep thinking what an experience it would be to stay in it. Go west and watch the buildings of the country. See how much of the Old West mythology is true. Which reminded me of, how like sometimes people ask that question, would you want to go 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future? And ask any minority, they're always going to pick the future. They are never, ever going to pick the past because we were not treated well in the past. So it's kind of like where he's like, oh, imagine going and seeing the construction of America. This would be so interesting to watch. Be like, yeah, you would be fine as a white man. Your wife, not so much, as he slowly realizes. Like he understands it in concept, but he really gets it. He really understands it when he actually has to see it every day, living in the past.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's. But I as soon as he said that line, I'm like, I know what you're doing here, Octavia. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. So Dana is disturbed with how easily herself and Kevin have acclimatized to the antebellum South. And it was one of Dana's worries if Kevin were to get stuck in the past. So that's one thing too. She's like, you need to stay near me. Because the way he joins her in the past is when because she has a few seconds there where like she gets dizzy. He comes and hugs her. He goes, get away from me. But she doesn't. And that's how he is transported back. Mm-hmm. But then and the way she goes back to present day is if she's close to death. And so she's being whipped by Waylon and he's not close enough for her to travel back. So he gets stuck there. But that's one of her worries that she has the whole time. If Kevin were to get stuck in the past, if she was pulled back to the current time, 1976 as the current time, quote, but he'd be in another kind of danger. A place like this would endanger him in a way I didn't want to talk to him about. If he was stranded here for years, some part of this place would rub off on him. No large part, I knew. But if he survived here, it would be because he managed to tolerate the life here. He wouldn't have to take part in it, but he would have to keep quiet about it. Free speech and press hadn't been too well in the antebellum South. Kevin wouldn't do well either. The place, the time would either kill him outright or mark him somehow. I didn't like either possibility. And you see him struggle when he does come back to present day 1976.
And shout out to the narrator because she depicts Kevin's accent drastically change when he came back. And she actually, like, he went from being, hey, Dana, how's it going today? To now, I didn't like that. It wasn't very, like, that's how she was depicting Kevin. So I was like, real. I thought, I don't know if that's what Octavia was going for and how it was written on page. but that like did she like type his words out to where it had a southern accent to it or no?
No, that was probably just a choice.
Okay. Well, I like the choice because it showed the 5 years that he was in that antebellum South that the accent came, it got that way. But you can also see after he came back and finally and she, went back to present time, dude had PTSD.
Oh, definitely. And so it changed him.
Yeah.
And the other thing too of like the kids playing at selling each other at slave markets becoming a topic of conversation between Kevin and Dana. Or Kevin, the kids are just imitating what they've seen adults doing. They don't understand. Dana, they don't have to understand. Even the games they play are preparing them for their future, and that future will come whether they understand it or not. And then Kevin's saying that, quote, this place isn't what I would have imagined. No overseer, no more work than the people can manage. With Dana interrupting, saying, no decent housing, dirt floors to sleep on, food so inadequate, they'd all be sick if they didn't keep gardens in what's supposed to be their leisure time and steal from the cookhouse when Sarah lets them. And no rights and the possibility of being mistreated or sold away from their families for any reason or no reason. Kevin, you don't have to beat people to treat them brutally. And Kevin replies, wait a minute, I'm not minimizing the wrong that's being done here. And Dana goes, yes, you are. You don't mean to, but you are. You might be able to go through this whole experience as an observer. I can understand that because most of the time I'm still an observer. It's a protection. It's 1976 shielding and cushioning 1819 for me. But now and then, like with the kids' game, I can't maintain the distance. I'm drawn all the way into 1819 and I don't know what to do. I ought to be doing something though. I know that.
Yeah, I like this conversation between them because it's still, even though they see themselves as like, and Kevin's trying to like, he's like, you're my equal. I don't feel like I'm better than you or any way. But even him being traumatized, it's still not the trauma that she went through.
Yeah,
so that's what she was. Am I getting that correctly? So
I liked Kevin because Kevin has always been a good guy from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. But Kevin, in this again, in the same way of your nature, I view you and Kevin are actually very similar, but like you're such good guys that you view people as people. You don't view them as their backgrounds or anything of that. So you're like, why would anyone treat you differently? There's no reason to. And in that though, sometimes when you, and I'm not saying that you ever have said this before, but like in the like people that truly don't see color, like not the I don't see color, like, but the ones who truly like don't, there's still issues with that because you're like, oh, if you don't see my color, then you don't see the way that people treat me and the way that I go about the world. And so by being stuck in the past and having to actually see what his wife and people that look like his wife had to go through in the past, that's where he learns that there is a difference, but even in that, at the very beginning of being in the back, he's like, you know what, it's not that bad. Like, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I thought it would be much worse. And it's just like, and she has to check him a little bit there, but he does slowly start to learn and realize and be like, okay, like, there is things that my wife is going to have to go through that I might never fully understand, but that's okay.
I liked the conversation when he finally came back and he had the scar. Obviously, he had the white beard and all of that. And he had that PTSD where she was trying to be like, come on, just talk to me. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. She's like, did you help free the slaves? He goes, yeah, I did. Okay. And he was just like, he finally was just kind of like, that's how she narrated it. He's like, yes, I did. Okay. I helped a lot. And it just basically he was just like, I am worn out. I am tired. I am traumatized. I just want to lay down. Like, that's just kind of how he came across. It's just like, I never changed. That place didn't. In the 5 years I was there, it just made me want to help more. Is kind of how he was saying. It was like, the place didn't change Kevin. It just made Kevin want to do whatever he could to help whatever he could.
Yeah. And where like she was fearful of the past making Kevin worse, the past made Kevin better. And that, and that's one thing when like, I hate the people now in today's day and age that don't want to teach the history of, because it's will make white kids feel bad. But then I was like, but also there's a lot of white people in the past that were abolitionists, that were fighting for the freedom of black slaves, that were wanting to make things better. Goes, also teach about those people too. Those people existed. The reason why minorities have anything that we have now is because white people got on board and helped us out. So it's kind of like,
Who do you think was in the Union?
so it's one of those things of like, it should be taught, and thankfully Kevin was one of those good ones, right? That
Shout out to Kevin. Great
Shout out to Kevin.
Great character in this book. Great character in Up, even though you were a bird.
So before we bring our Discord members on, which you can join Discord down below, you get to join our book club. It's completely free, and then you get to come on here and discuss wonderful books with us here. Any final thoughts though before we bring our Discord members on?
I thought I felt that whole kind of white guilt-ish thing, even though I know it wasn't me doing it. It was just like, oh, why, man? Like, come on. Why? Stop it. Don't, dude. No. But then if this was just her going back and with her and Rufus be one thing, adding her being married in an interracial couple with Kevin, and Kevin going through what he went to, much less what she was going through, just added a different layer to this book that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And as far as of like how it was depicted, obviously nothing about this book was cool. Okay. I just want to put that out there. It's very tragic and very graphic and terrible, which is what slavery is. But I just thought it was extremely well written. That's what I will say. And I can't recommend this book to enough people. It's one of those, Schindler's List type of books where you're glad you read it. You probably won't ever pick it up again.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. But let's bring up, he's on every single time, Ryan.
Hey, do you have your Super Bowl championship shirt of a team you don't really care for, but you're in the city anyway?
I do not.
Okay.
But I could. I mean, there's plenty of them at the store, so it's easy. I just wait till it gets cheaper prices.
There you go. There you go.
But Ryan, your thoughts on the book?
It's a long week, so let's just finish up the week and let's talk about slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Such a fun topic.
Y'all did a good job trying to work through that conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm not saying we tiptoed through it, but we could have really sat there and been like,
yeah,
all right, how depressing do we want to make this episode? Or
so let's see, the past 3 books, we had kids dying on the road, we had like an apocalypse, and now we got slavery. So I mean,
Depression 2026.
Hey, but at least in this book we had time travel, bitch.
That's very much true, and I actually did enjoy that aspect of it, to be able to provide chunks of the story and like very quickly. So you see Rufus as a kid, and then older and older, and you could just jump into different time frames, and you get to it's a pretty long chunk of time in the past by doing this jumping around. So it was a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So
how do you feel about Rufus?
I mean, it's what I feel like people now. I mean, yeah, I'll be blunt of things. It's like you have parts of the country that it was like a certain way, more towards the north, and then towards the south and deeper south. Yeah, you may have made changes to laws, but you grew up a certain way, and you will still teach and be the person to your kids, and your kids are going to still pick that up. And this is why things still are in a way that some people are not happy. Certain races don't have as much power as they used to, because they realize what they used to have and not what they currently have. And there's some bitterness behind that. And I'm glad I didn't grow up in that stuff. and because that's
Hey guys, guess what? I grew up in Kentucky, and I'm okay. Okay, there you go.
that's true too. So
Yeah.
it's all about not where you're at, but
Who your parents are.
who your parents are. Yeah,
Mhm.
but
You surround yourself with.
as it's not totally geographical, but
Yeah.
just a lot more in certain areas than other areas. So
Yeah.
what my assumption
Hate
is.
isn't genetic; it's taught.
Yes. So whatever you're teaching, I know my kids get annoyed by my wife and I, but we try to teach things in a certain way that our our parents really never taught to us. Just we're just trying to be a bit more forthright of what's out there and what
Mhm.
should be and what shouldn't be, and try to have them friends that are not of all the same. I don't know. It just, I mean, there's nothing wrong where I was living in the Midwest, and it's a fine enough area, but not very diverse. I do like being out here out here in Washington State, and and they definitely, I mean, the kids have just more diverse to actually kind of understand a bit more what they deal with than others. Because again, I'm just a regular white family. I don't have I don't have the same issues as I know other people see and are dealing with right now. And in this book, it is a snippet of time, but it just it continues in different ways through and
Yeah, as I said multiple times, kind of just like the echoes of just you have the antebellum South, then you have the 1970s, and I was like, but still, there's so much that you can still see to today, and that's what makes you sad reading this book in 2026. That you're like, some people have not changed their views, unfortunately, from back then to now,
and they've become more out there a bit more because things have allowed those views to be out there a bit more too, and that's it's just so much.
Yeah. So anyway, this is on Ryan's recommendation list.
It was not this time.
Do you kind of, I mean, like I said, like I referred to it as like, are you glad you read it or no? Or is
no,
like
I am glad I read it. I do have it. So okay. Some of these books I do like having, and then my wife, she can read them too, and I'll tell her what I think on some of them. And she read The Long Walk, wasn't a fan. She'll read this one. She'll like it, and I believe, but also it's probably a one-time read as well.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, it's like this book is like like in the Schindler's List category of I'm glad I watched it. It's a very, very well done book / movie, but I'm never gonna touch that shit again.
No, I mean, if I want heartache and drama, I'll watch the news. Sorry.
Yeah. Right, true.
Well, what's that? It's a joke of they're gonna tell you good evening and then tell you why it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. And this was like, and this was my fault for us reading this. This was my being a booktater. I was like, I've had this book on my shelf for a while, haven't read it yet. Let's put it in one of the months, and then I was just like, hard read.
No, it's
a really good read.
I mean, but a hard read. But yeah, it was I only got I ordered it, and I didn't have it all. I mean, I've only had it for about a week and a half. So, I mean, it was pretty quick read. I did just finish it yesterday, but some of those books take a little while to get through just because how they run.
I thought this flowed a lot better than The Long Walk did.
Oh, yeah.
That way. Like, that's what I was saying is like, obviously I listened to it, but there wasn't any like random things that didn't have anything to do with it. It moved along correctly. It flowed very well. So just how a book itself is laid out.
Didn't have any weird sex stuff in it, like The Long Walk. But 264 pages. So like, again, not a very large book. Does your copy also have the back of the reader's guide? I haven't gone through
I
it yet.
didn't get it. Yeah, ran out of time. I got through the epilogue, and then I have it. I just was like I was tired by the time I was like I gotta get to bed, but so I didn't get to it. Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah. There's a critical essay by Robert Crossley from the University of Massachusetts at Boston.
Boston.
Boston Garden. Boston Yard.
Yeah.
But so
Nothing.
that's something that I probably will look at eventually on the reader's guide to see what our Boston guy has to say about. But this is one of those that because it has been around since the 70s, there has been a lot of critique and scholars talking about this book, and I mentioned a few of them in the notes here. But I'm sure there's a lot of. That's something that I probably will do. I will not reread this book, but I will go look up and see what scholars have discussing the book.
I just know
this is definitely something that's going to be. Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
I just know it's been banned at a lot of places.
Yeah,
and in prison too. They don't want to have that.
Yeah, they don't want to stir up shit.
Yeah,
I understand the prison thing. They don't want to stir up shit.
Yeah,
because there is the gangs in prisons, not favorable on certain races. So probably not. Probably it's probably just let's not stir them up.
Let's put this book in there.
Yeah. Oh, the Hunger Games. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
it looked like the Hunger Games there.
Project Hail Mary is next month.
Project Hail Mary. It does like the font kind of looked like a Hunger Games thing.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Which
I ordered these both at the same time, so I made sure I had them because the library's booked like so far back.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to do the library with Project Hail Mary, and then I was like, I'm not going to get this in time for us to. So I just ordered it yesterday, so it should be here.
And no spoiler at all. I mean, obviously I haven't read it yet, but the past few days the movie's come out, and the buzz on that's pretty hot. I mean,
it's like in a good way.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's a Lord Miller that did it, and they've been batting 1,000.
Yeah, this one I guess they're just saying it's Ryan's like probably best role that him being in this.
So the reason, again, it's another one that I'm being a booktainer about. I picked it because the movie was coming out same month, so I thought it would be interesting to discuss and then maybe compare it to the movie if we all end up watching it. If you do watch the movie, are you going to watch the movie first or read the book first?
I mean, based on
it depends on when it comes out. The movie.
The movie's coming out here either
pretty soon.
Like next couple weeks.
Yeah, because I mean,
let's see.
It might be even.
I think it's
next
this
weekend.
Upcoming week.
Yeah. I think it's.
I mean, people are seeing it ahead right now. So
because he was just on Fallon and
March 20th.
Oh, okay. So a couple weeks.
So I'll probably read it, then watch it. Just because I'm done with this book. Even though I do have another book here, because I'm.
Oh, that's on my TBR.
It's Automatic Noodle. A cozy near future novella about a crew of leftover robots opening their very own noodle shop, from acclaimed sci-fi author Anna Lee Newowitz. But the thing is, though, I didn't choose this. I'm cheating on y'all, and I joined another book club.
Oh wow!
But this one's in person. So I don't know. I went to a bookstore and they had a bunch of different book clubs, and I saw this one. I'm like, huh.
All right, I'll allow it because it's in person.
Yeah, you have to answer to her. I'm just here.
I cheat on you guys with the in-person book club too.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's why.
Josh is the only one not cheating on us.
Hey, it's the point is even if you're listening to it, I keep on saying it still expands the horizons.
I think the only books that I've actually read in this book club is Watchmen and Tuesdays with Morrie. Like that's the only two that I've actually read. because because it's easy for me driving, and like sometimes I'm doing clerical stuff at work. I just sit there and listen to it. Like, and I mean, it's just it makes it so much more. And then plus this book, a lot of times too, the narrators, as we know with which Dungeon Crawl Carl, I had to read that too, because unfortunately I had to pay an arm and a leg for that audio.
Yeah, from Audible. Yeah, from
Audible, and I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
I'll see them again tomorrow. I'm going to a.
Oh, you're going to the con?
Going to the con.
Nice.
But he's there. But actually, the reason why we're going there is because, because my wife and daughter wants to go because they want to see the actor who plays Vecna.
That guy.
Yeah. So
I typically am pretty decent at actor and actresses' names. Don't know who that guy is off the top of my head.
I
know who you're talking about.
It's like 3 words. Jared. No. I don't know, but yeah, they want to get a picture and something like that. But but I just noticed that he's got. Well, it's pretty easy for him to show up because he lives out here. So
yeah, I think that's what you were saying last time you saw him.
Oh,
you got the autograph, right?
Yeah, I do have that, but yeah, he has a new book too. That's not in the series.
Bounce House.
Yeah. But this is a standalone one. It's not.
It's not in the Dungeon Crawler Carl universe. I haven't actually gone to see like reviews of it yet, but I have heard that it's come out.
I'm surprised he didn't do it as a pseudonym, just because he's so associated with Dungeon Crawler Carl that he didn't do it as like a pseudonym. Or is it still in that same type of realm? So that's why he just kept his name. Like some authors do it when they go different genres.
Yeah, I didn't even check. It was one was like, I was at the bookstore and I was like, oh, I recognize that. I'll get that.
I think it's still might not be lit RPG, but it's still. I think I've heard like it's still in the style like that.
It probably is his still style, and if it's his style, that's plenty fun.
Satire, yeah.
The next book it comes out like in Dungeon Crawl, I think like this summer.
I don't know why, but like my TikTok algorithm, like all the TikTok shop is just like mugs of like all the quotes from Dungeon Crawler Carl and like hoodies, and I'm like, I read you once like 7 months ago.
It knows. I'm surprised your TikTok hasn't become into a book talk because it's heard you speaking about books. Our phones are always listening.
Yeah, our phones are always listening. But yeah, that's what I got from that. I guess I don't know. I don't know why I'm on the Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm not mad about it, but every time I'm like, oh, should I send this to? No, I'm not going to send it to Ryan. He doesn't need to get any more Dungeon Crawler Carl stuff. He does well with his books. He doesn't need mugs and sweatshirts.
I know. There's some stuff that that they'll have it there if I want to. There's some sweatshirts I was looking at like, when I'm there, I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to check it out?
I'm not saying you could be cool and purchase the audiobook so I can listen to that narrator, which I heard is really cool. But I'm just saying you could totally do it because I'm not paying for it.
I think you could get a free trial with Audible or like one free book.
Okay. It's just the thing is I got to remember to
deactivate it.
I haven't really heard it on that. I mean, I've heard obviously just like on Instagram and others that so heard some of it, but I haven't heard that's
people rave about it. I think it's still just as good reading it, and people are like, "Oh, you gotta listen to the audio."
Yeah, Dungeon Crawl. Yeah, that's my jam. But this book was my jam for one reason only.
We got out of topic. Yeah, that's what I do when I show up.
Hey, we love it. We love it here. Thank you as always, Ryan. Thank you for being the only one as usually. Although we did have Justin last time for Watch Me. Yeah. So,
thanks, Justin.
But come on, guys, show up. Like
I know they show up for such a fun and happy book of Kindred.
Right?
This one might be something to talk about.
That one might be one, but I understand. Kindred is it's a heavy book.
That T likes to read and then just watch us discuss and not show up. So hi T.
Hey, T.
I was looking at like, am I gonna need to get on for this one? Yes, I need to get on for this one.
I was just like, all right. And then like as soon as I started, I was like, all right. I just did like the neck thing. I was like, okay, play. All right, here we go. And then I was like, okay. Oh God. Okay. That's how I was doing like the whole book. But I was just like, I am so like, even like a quarter of the way through it, I was like, I'm in on the book. I'm so glad that I'm quote unquote reading it. And then at the end of it, I was like, that book was awesome for what it was wanting to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's still, I mean, it's still as popular as it is. I mean,
more than 850,000 copies in print.
Right.
Says on the back of the book.
Oh, well, we got 2 of them.
Yep.
So,
but
I recommend the book.
Wait a minute. What did you say? 800?
It said 850 on mine.
I'm only at 450 on this one.
No,
I got an early copy.
You're an early copier.
Well, I guess you mean.
and I got my book before you did. That's like with
our premium.
That's like with our what is it? Tuesdays with Maury. There's the 10-year anniversary and the 25-year. I think you and I both have the 10-year one. But I think Josh had the 25-year one.
Yeah,
so it's in my bookshelf in there somewhere.
Yeah. So it had different afterwards. But any final thoughts before we let you go, Ryan?
No. I mean, it's again, what can I say in the position who I am? I'm historically lucky who I was growing up, and now, you just wanted to hopefully improve and not go backwards, because backward was really bad, and certain things aren't great now. It's just in a different way, and more people can read these type of books. Hopefully they learn. But I have the concern a lot of the people who need to read these books aren't reading these books.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't reading enough as it is anyway.
But the facts. And it is one of those where, like we did say earlier, neither Josh or myself or you are Black, so that we do come to this with a different perspective. But it is one of those where, because my background being Latino, I do have white European ancestors, I do have Black ancestors, and I do have Native American ancestors. So it is, when I do come to stories like this, it's just like, I was on the good side and the bad side in these stories, my ancestors. And then you see Dana as well. She was on the good, her ancestors were on the good side and the bad side as well, with Rufus being her ancestor as well as Alice.
Right. We didn't talk. We missed that month that we had it, but Noah, whose book? Noah. What?
Noah. Yeah. Trevor
Noah.
Yeah.
I mean him and his story, and I'm like, I'm not relating to it to a certain extent, obviously, because it's a whole different world. But this thing, though, you may not be part of it, but if you're just trying to grasp anything that what's being a part of something you don't know about, can only improve your own mindset on things and not be so secluded. So yes, we can't be what we can't relate in a certain way, but try not to hide from things.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in this book didn't have choices, just like us picking this book, but I'm glad that Soul picked it.
I'm the only one who had a choice. I forced you guys.
Yeah, you forced us.
I
could have stand my ground and said no, but no. I'm stubborn. You had to read some of my books.
True. Well, anyways, thank you, Ryan. As always, you have a good rest of your night.
All right. Good night, you two.
Good night.
Josh,
we did it.
Yeah, we did it. We got through that one. Like I said, it was a very quick read in itself, but it still was it was heavy as hell. So
yeah. Well, I think I can speak for both of us as saying that we do recommend this book. If you haven't read it, as I said earlier, we enjoyed it as much as you can enjoy a book about slavery. Yeah. We thank you to Ryan, as always, for coming on here and discussing the books with us. Thank you to you. Thank you to Gift saying after party in the Discord.
I mean, I might be clicking on let's go hang out.
Yeah,
Saying,
I mean,
guys,
Discord
links
down below.
Down below, we do that. We pretty much try and do it every Friday, Saturday, or sometimes during the week. We just don't know, but that's what happens over our Discord, and we love you guys over there.
But Josh, where can the people find us?
The people can find us when our internet is working every Wednesday and Thursdays. Wednesdays doing our Rev Sports Wrap It Up on 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. And then on Thursdays, you have myself and Justin Toner doing a Ruckus Wrestling at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And then coming up, guys, it's March. You know what March is? It's madness. Madness as in college basketball, the brackets that no one knows who's who or who's what, but they fill out the brackets anyway because it's fun. And
Josh is going to lose.
Yeah. But we will be doing our bracket, obviously bringing back bracket bitches for that one, much less doing a preview show of it. So I do need to, after we get off the air, I need to tell you, I do have someone lined up for that show for us.
Awesome.
So we got that going. And then, like you said, Project Hail Mary. Coming at you for this month's book club. So hopefully it's as good as Kindred, but not as heavy.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be as heavy just based off of the synopsis. But guys, I was a booktator last month with Kindred. I was a booktator for this month with Project Hail Mary. But if you join the Discord now, we will be voting for next month's book. So I will not be a booktator for the following month. So if you want to join and you want to read and you want to either suggest books or vote on books with us in the Discord, link is down below. It is absolutely free for anyone to join. And you can have, as Gift said, after party in the Discord. But again, thank you, Josh, and thank you to Ryan, and thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you next time.